My name's Mary Janzen. I was the fifth oldest.
I'm Fred Andrews. I had a twin brother, so we were the sixth and seventh, right in the middle of the family.
I'm Buddy Andres, and I'm number 11 in the William Andres family.
My name is Margie Enns. I was christened Margaret, but they've never ever called me Margaret. And I'm in number 10 in line.
Our forefathers, of course, originated in Holland and then moved. There was a lot of persecution because of the change away from the Catholic Church a little bit, and they moved to, many of them migrated to Prussia in northern Germany. And it was our great-grandparents that, I believe, our grandparents, our parents and grandparents were born in Russia, but our great-grandparents came from Prussia, I understand. And it was the village of Mariaval. Our dad was born in that village in May of 1902. Dad died in June of 86. And our mom was born in February of 1906 and died in October of 81 here in Ontario, Niagara-on-the-Lake. The Mennonites literally thrived during the 1800s in Ukraine. I mean, not only were they farmers, there were manufacturing plants, and the Peter Wall family, he built railways, and I mean, they lived the good life. And then, of course, it was the First World War and the Communist Revolution. It just, the Mennonites fell victim to literally a reign of terror, a reign of terror. And because they were known for their pacifism, and, we don't shoot, we turn the other cheek, they were targeted by, we kept hearing Mom and Dad say, bandits on horses. And one of the most famous bandits was a guy by the name of, a Russian by the name of Mekhna. Mm-hmm. And they would come through the villages, literally. I always heard pillaging, raping, and looting. Well, that's exactly what our Mennonites endured. Mm-hmm. And many decided to stay. People were telling our grandmother, why are you leaving this land? It's going to get better. It's going to get better. Yeah, our grandmother made an unbelievable decision, and boy, we're happy she did. Our grandmother, with how many children? Eight kids. And in the meantime, her husband died of typhoid, right? Yeah. Our grandfather died in 1922. Mm-hmm. And so now she's alone between 22 and 26. So there's 4 years where she's making plans with 8 children to come to this country.
Strange country,
yeah.
Strange language.
Yeah. Matter of fact, when our mother came with her mother, our grandmother, our mother was pregnant. She had a little boy, our oldest brother. She came here to Canada, but my dad was not allowed to leave because of his connection to the military.
She came in 26.
She came, and he came.
And he came in 30.
April of 1930. And I remember Mom always saying she came over on a ship called the Empress of France, and in July of 26, and they came to Quebec City. And she always said, I think it was like a 2-week crossing or whatever it was. She was pregnant and seasick the whole time. Mom said, I will never step on another boat the rest of my life, and she never did.
She never did.
Not even a rowboat in the pond at the farm. Our dad came on a ship called the Minnedosa.
Yeah.
That ship took many Mennonites. There were about 20,000 Mennonites that during the 20s, after that, came into Canada, and the Minnedosa was a ship that was used a lot.
So then she's arrived. She knows that she's coming to Vineland.
That's correct.
And your grandmother is already here with her 7 siblings.
That is correct. So
then they're all in Vineland.
Now they're all in Vineland.
Where was their first home?
Well, it's still standing in Vineland, Rittenhouse Road. It's right on the corner there. Beautiful big porch.
Yeah.
I can remember chickens in the backyard they had. And we loved going to Vineland. But that was a whole day excursion from here when we grew up on Niven Road. So now they're in Vineland. It's 1930. Our dad finally came, met his second son, who he hadn't, seen. John was now 3 years old, 4 years old.
Yeah.
And so they were in Vineland for 4 years when they heard about the famous Peter Wall buying up land in the Niagara area. And my dad was one of the first ones to sign up. And it was 1934, October, according to Mary, she remembers October 34.
Yeah, I remember. That's when I came.
You were born.
I was born in 34 and in June, and they came.
Where were you born here?
In Vineland.
Vineland.
Oh, you were born in Vineland.
I was born in Vineland, yeah, on the corner there.
Right.
Not in a hospital, was
No.
some,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, so they moved in October 1934 to Niven Road.
Yeah.
And the reason they bought this farm, 12 acres on Niven Road, it had a large two-story home. Well, because already the family at that point were 6.
5.
That's
You
6.
are 6 and 7 with
Yeah.
Art.
So who did they move with? Who was in the family at that point?
Bill, John, Hank, Lena, and me. 5.
Say it again.
Bill,
Bill,
John.
Henry, Lena, Mary.
so yeah.
And then
That's right.
my twin brother and I were born in that home, had midwives in 1936, June of 1936. The surprising part, our neighbor, he was Nick Wemple, his mother was one of the 2 midwives there. And he always kidded us about the fact that when I was born first, and we think there's another one. They had no way of knowing those twins.
No ultrasound.
No ultrasound. So then my brother Art popped out, and they were surprised. They were only expecting one. So we've had a lot of fun laughing about that. So that happened June 22nd, 36.
36, yeah.
And so anyway, at that time, I had no, well, of course not any idea. Somewhere along the line, I was going to marry the daughter, the niece of Peter Wall, who was getting all these farms
Yeah.
in place.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but they housed 4 or 5 other families until their houses were built on their plot of land, you know?
In that one house.
In that one house.
Yeah.
And
It was very large.
And of course, there was no church. So guess what? The first church services, I don't know for how long, were held in our house.
That's right.
The first year or 2. The services were held
On Niven Road.
On Niven Road, yeah.
So now with all these kids here, and my parents always had company on Sunday, you had to feed everybody. We would have up to 3 settings. We would, maybe the older folks would eat first.
Yeah.
We'd clean up.
Yeah.
And you always had a lot of friends. Then we'd set up for the boys.
And then my friends.
And then the younger
I
ones.
remember. 3 settings.
Yes, I remember that all the time. But I do want to mention one thing about Buddy, because there was just the 4 of us later on. They were all married. But in your home, the girls did all the work. So if we were sitting at the table and eating, and Buddy would say, "Oh, I need salt," he would never get up. It was always the girls that had to get up. And that's something his wife had to get used to, I think, after they got married. But, you know, even though you were saying
changed.
we were,
Things have changed.
you know, even though we were, like Mary, you were saying we were poor, but the kids we grew up with, we were all in the same boat.
We were all poor.
Yeah.
We were all poor.
Yeah.
But we really, I must say, had a lot of fun growing up when you grow up in a large family.